Have you ever had your stop loss get hit and then watch the market turn around and go exactly where you thought it was going to go? You look at the chart afterward and think, seriously? I was right. When it happens again and again, you start questioning this. Maybe it was too tight. Maybe you just needed to give the trade a little more room. That was exactly how I started thinking. So I started changing my stops. I went from 30 pips to 35. Then 40. Sometimes it actually worked. The trade would come close to my stop, turn around, and keep going. So naturally, I started thinking maybe I wasn't wrong. Maybe my stop was just too tight. But then it happened again and again. I'd still get stopped out, and sometimes price would still turn around afterward. So I kept asking myself, why does this keep happening? At the time, I thought I was fixing a stop loss problem. I didn't realize I was looking in the wrong place. After a while, I started noticing something else. Sometimes the market wasn't the problem. My entry was. I'd see something on the chart that looked good enough, and instead of waiting for the setup to develop, I'd get in. Then price would pull back, my stop would get hit. Later, the move I expected would happen. So I'd look back at the chart and think, see, I knew where price was going. But that wasn't the whole truth. Sometimes I did know the direction. I just wasn't patient enough to wait for the right entry. I was getting into the trade before the setup had actually developed. A wider stop can't fix an entry that's too early. It just gives that entry more room to be wrong. I didn't really understand that at the time. It was easier to say, my stop was too tight, than to say, I rushed the trade. There was another problem I wasn't paying enough attention to. Market structure. Sometimes the problem wasn't my entry either. Sometimes the market had actually changed. The structure had changed over several days, sometimes weeks, but I could still be looking for buys because I had already decided the market was bullish. Once I had that idea in my head, I started noticing everything that supported it. A bullish move, a pullback, a little bit of strength, anything that gave me a reason to think, yeah, it's still going up. But I wasn't really asking myself whether the market was still bullish. I was looking for reasons to stay bullish. Those are two different things. Sometimes I was getting in too early. Sometimes I was trading an old bias. The market had already started changing, but I was still trying to trade the direction I wanted. I didn't fully understand any of it until I got myself into a trade that became much bigger than a normal loss. It happened on GBP USD. I had a buy position. It had gone into profit. Price was getting close to a major psychological level. I was expecting it to continue toward my take profit. Then I woke up. The market had started reversing. It should have made me pay attention. But I remembered all those other times my stop got hit and then price went exactly where I expected. So I thought, I'm not getting stopped out like that again. I moved the stop. Price kept going down, so I moved it again. At that point, I wasn't really following the original plan anymore. I was just trying to keep the trade alive. Then I doubled down. I think it was simple. If it comes back to break even, I'll just close it. I didn't need a big profit. I just wanted to get out. But price kept falling. The longer I stayed in the trade, the harder it became to admit that I might actually be wrong. I kept seeing bullish structure. I kept finding reasons the market could still go back up. Honestly, I think I was seeing what I wanted to see. The trade stayed open for about 1 or 2 weeks. Because I was stuck in it, I wasn't really comfortable taking other trades. Then I doubled down again. I increased the lot size because I was trying to recover the money faster. For a while, I recovered some of it. That actually made things worse because now I had another reason to believe I could save the trade. I thought maybe it's finally turning. It didn't. The market reversed against me again. Then I started taking sell positions and those went deep into losses too. My balance kept dropping. Instead of accepting what was happening, I started depositing more money every week. I kept thinking it's gonna reverse, so I deposited more. Then I doubled down again and I waited. Then I deposited more. This went on for about 3 or 4 weeks. At that point, I wasn't really trading anymore. I was just trying to get out of one trade. I was tired, frustrated, and honestly confused. I had put so much into that position that closing it felt like admitting everything I had been doing was wrong. Eventually, I couldn't keep doing it. I had to close the trade. Right after I closed it, the market started reversing just a little. And I remember thinking, seriously? For a moment, I thought I had just made another huge mistake. I had held through all of that. And now, right after I closed, it started going back up, but the reversal didn't last. The market started falling again, and it kept falling. Then I started thinking, what if I just kept holding? I probably would have kept adding, kept depositing, and kept waiting for it to turn. Eventually, the account could have been wiped out. That's when it finally clicked for me. That first stop loss wasn't really the reason I lost money. It was giving me information. It was telling me the trade wasn't working the way I expected. If I had respected that first stop, I would have been out. I could have stepped away from the chart, looked at the bigger picture, noticed that the market structure had changed my bias. Instead, I kept moving the stop because I didn't want to take the loss. I thought I was protecting the trade. I was actually protecting myself from having to admit I was wrong. That's what changed the way I looked at stop losses. I don't play games with them anymore. I might adjust one by 5 or 10 pips if there's a genuine reason, but I don't keep moving it just because I don't want to take the loss. I've seen what happens when traders stop using them completely. I know where that can lead. For me, the lesson wasn't that every stop loss is perfect. It isn't. Sometimes the stop is too tight. Sometimes the entry is wrong. Sometimes the market takes your liquidity and then goes exactly where you expected. That happens. But if every time your stop gets hit, your first thought is, my stop was the problem, you can avoid looking at everything else. Your entry, your timing, the market structure, your bias. That's what happened to me. I thought I was giving the trade more room, but really, I was giving myself more room to avoid being wrong. And maybe that's something worth paying attention to in your own trading. Not just where your stop is, but how you react when the market reaches it. Sometimes the stop isn't taking you out of a good trade. Sometimes it's getting you out before a bad trade becomes something much worse. I thought the stop loss was making me lose money. Looking back, sometimes it was the thing trying to save me from being wrong for too long. The stop loss wasn't the problem. My relationship with being wrong was. I didn't understand that until I almost paid for it with the whole account.